Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Statesmanship Project. I'm Ross Bradley and I will be your host, your guide through my thoughts as we go on this journey. We left off discussing the equation for program success, and we're going to pick that up right now. The first and most important, probably the most overlooked and probably the most abused variable in the equation is rest. So what we need to understand is that the only time we get all of the awesome, amazing benefits from strength training is when we recover from the training that we're doing. Now, because people see people that are exercising look great, they think the more time I spend exercising, the better I'll look. So they end up spending way too much time in the gym, and then they don't recover, and they don't get the benefits that they want. And so what we have to understand is the dynamics of rest. The more you put into training, the less time you have to rest. And the more intense your training is, the more time to recover from it you need. So the first thing we want to look at is the factors that are stimulated when we train. So our muscular system is stimulated, but so is our nervous system. Our sympathetic and our parasympathetic nervous system are also stimulated. So what are the ways in which these systems are stimulated? So by putting a load on the muscles greater than they're capable of handling, we damage them, we break them down, and then when we recover, we get back to where they were before, and then when we adapt, our muscles grow in size so that they can handle the new capacity, the new load capacity. The next thing that happens is the sympathetic nervous system. When you are moving your body in a particular way, you're conditioning the nerves to fire the muscles in a particular pattern, whether it's squatting, deadlifting, bench pressing, overhead pressing, or playing the piano. These systems all are reinforced the more you perform that particular movement pattern. And the more you do a particular movement pattern, the better your body gets at expressing that, because the nerves become reinforced, the myelin sheathing increases around the nerves so that the signals fire more efficiently through the body. And what happens is you become more efficient and more adept, and then it requires less energy for you to perform a particular movement. And then the third way in which we stimulate our nervous system is the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is our fight, flight, or freeze response. And what happens when we stimulate these is it's essentially a way to overload the nervous system. Now, when you do light weights, you only stimulate it a little bit. But if you get into a very intense training session or extremely heavy weights, like if you're back squatting, 800, 900, 1,000 pounds, you're putting so much stress on your body that if you fail, you could die. And that is such a huge drain on the nervous system that it takes a lot of energy to recover from it. Now, obviously, if we're squatting 100 pounds or 50 pounds, it's nowhere near the amount of stress on the body, but it is still a stress on the body. And the less conditioned you are to handle this stress, the greater the stress is on the body. And we have to recover from that as well. This is also why most people that lift heavy weights tend to be more calm, because their body is adapted to handling stressors. All strength training is a stress on the body. It is a physical stress intentionally induced. And in order to recover from that stress, we have to give ourselves adequate time for recovery and adaptation. Otherwise, you will end up back in the same place you are every time, or digging yourself deeper into another hole. So anytime we train, what we want to do is make sure that we are accomplishing our set out goals in the training, but not doing so much that we reduce our capacity to recover. This is the most important key to strength training right here. Is what I'm about to give you. It is, we don't want to do as much as possible. We want to do the minimum amount required to affect the stimulus necessary. So if it's one repetition, you do one repetition. If If it's one set, you do one set. You know, if in order to run a marathon you have to run a marathon, then the minimum required stimulus is to run a marathon. It's unfortunate, but it's true. So if you only need to run 1 mile, and that's all you need to run in order to be able to complete a marathon, then why would you run more than 1 mile? Unless you really just love running. But the point is we want to do as little as possible, because anything more than the minimum requirement is going to eat into our recovery and diminish our capacity to train, or diminish the frequency at which we can train. So if doing 1 repetition 1 time in order to get back to 100% and adapt to it, maybe we only need an hour. Or maybe just to get back to 100% we only need an hour, and then we can do another 1 rep, and then we break down, and then an hour back comes again. And so there are programs where you do 1 rep at the top of an hour for 8 or 10 hours, and then you have the rest of the week maybe to recover from that, so that you fully recover and you get the adaptive response. So there are different approaches to this, and how they affect your body is going to be relative to you. And so the purpose of me breaking these concepts down is so that you, as the individual, become more adept at being able to evaluate your own capacity and your own factors that impact your training, and then ultimately impact your life. Because if you can conceptualize the things that you do in the weight room and how they impact your body and impact your life, you'll be able to more easily conceptualize other aspects of your life, other relationships you have, whether it's with work or with loved ones or with strangers. And then from that, you'll be able to evaluate how much time, energy, consciousness, focus, attention you place on these things. Because ultimately what we want to understand is that attention is the price you pay for the life you lead. So whatever you focus your attention on, that's the life that you end up with. Because attention is the most precious commodity in the world. And we want to be able to master our attention, but not just be able to control the things on which we focus, but know the things on which we focus are the ones that benefit us the most. And this, to me, through the weight room, is the easiest entry point for developing the skills to understand that. So, this has been episode 4. I will continue this conversation in episode 5 tomorrow. I hope this has been helpful, and until next time, have a good day.